In today's video, we're gonna take a look at this stylish and highly customizable fat tire e-bike, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, JT from Ebike Escape here. And before we take a closer look at the Blix Ultra here behind me, I just want to ask everyone a couple quick favors. If you are looking to purchase any Blix e-bike or really any e-bike, please consider using the links down in the description. All purchases made after clicking those links help directly support us here at Ebike Escape. Also linked down in the description, we'll have links to a bunch of helpful resources such as our e-bike accessories list, top e-bikes brands page, and our e-bikes discounts codes page, where we keep track of all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. And lastly, we'll have a link to our shop.ebike escape store, where we've started to collect brands of products that we use daily here at Ebike Escape. And it's another way for you to show support to us if you're not in the market for an e-bike. And with all of that out of the way, let's give my cat a couple quick pets. And now let's talk about the Blix Ultra. The Blix Ultra is like I said, a stylish and highly customizable fat tire e-bike. This is not the way the Blix Ultra will come shipped to you. I will call out all of the various accessories we have on the bike as we come across them, as we're going through our component and up close walkthrough of the bike. So the Blix Ultra comes in 2 battery amount options. With those 2 battery options, there are 2 different prices. So the price for the single battery option is $2,100. And the dual battery bike comes in at $2,500. At time of filming, both those bikes were on sale for $250 off. And Blix does tend to run sales from time to time. And also, if you're looking to purchase multiple e-bikes, I know they run a discount if you purchase 2 e-bikes at the same time. That can be found on our discounts code page on our Ebike Escape website. Now with those 2 battery options, there are a couple color variances between those. The dual battery bike is available in all 3 colors that I'm about to list, whereas the single battery option is only available in the first color, which is going to be a bright white. The next color option is going to be a slate gray. And then the last color option is the matte green like you've seen here. It may not show up well on camera, but it's kind of a very light army green. And it is a very matte color. I kind of like that the way the matte green interacts with the black of some of the accessories, as well as the fork and of course tires and fenders. Now the Blix Ultra here is not the first Blix bike that we have looked at. We have reviewed the Blix Packagini, which followed suit like the Ultra here, where it was highly customizable and could really be tuned and adjusted to your needs. What I mean by that is, like the Blix Ultra here, they both come shipped, and really all of the Blix bikes come shipped as kind of bare bones bikes, and you can add those on as you go. So to say you're hauling cargo, you could maybe add some of these nice rear baskets, or if you want to carry a passenger, they make some mini VIP sections that you can mount on the back for, say, carrying a child, as well as the rear racks do have Thule Yup maxi seat windows, which makes putting a child seat on, that's one of our favorite child seats available on the market. Now those are not the only 2 bikes that Blix offers. They have some other, I would call them stylish bikes. One of them is the Vika Plus Flex, which is kind of a European-inspired Brompton-ish, if you will, electric bike, which is very small and foldable. Then there's also the Soul and the Avenue Skyline, which are commuter and cruiser style stylish e-bikes that have very low step-throughs and very approachable. And then the last model, which the review Ryan is actually working on now, is for the Double. That is a utility style bike, very similar to some other bikes on the market, which again comes shipped as a very base model. And then you can add all of the accessories on to fit what you are looking for in an e-bike or what you're going to be utilizing it for. Now, both the Blix Ultra and the Double are bikes that Ryan and I have had our eyes on for quite some time, as they are kind of run-of-the-mill utility or fat tire bikes, but Blix has put, like I said, their stylish touches on them, as well as some of their high-quality accessories, which we're going to show off, like I said, a little bit in this video, and Ryan is going to show off in his Double video as well. But with all of that other overview out of the way, let's talk specifics about the Blix Ultra. The Blix Ultra comes only available in this kind of more mid/high step frame. It does not come in a step-through variant, so the height range is listed as 5'6" up to 6'2". The total payload capacity of the Blix Ultra is 400 pounds. Blix recommends having a 250-pound rider and then being able to split that cargo capacity between the rear and front rack. Mind that the front rack has a weight capacity of 50 pounds, but the rear rack does have a total capacity of 150 pounds if you wanted to, say, put all that extra payload capacity in the rear. The Blix Ultra without batteries comes in at a weight of 60 pounds, with each battery weighing 8 pounds. So the total weight of the Blix Ultra is 76 pounds if you have it outfitted as the base model with 2 batteries. Of course, the rear rack, front rack, and anything else that you add to the bike will increase that weight just a little bit. So with all of that out of the way, let's take a closer look at the components that the Blix Ultra comes with. Starting up here in the front, we have these 26 by 4 inch Chow Yang fat tires. These do have some knobbier tread. They definitely handle some crushed gravel paths or even some light off-roading. Coming in, it does come equipped with a quick release, so you could easily remove the front wheel for transit. And then coming around to the other side, here's a look at the Zoom hydraulic disc brakes. Zoom is a brand at this point that we have seen on so many other bikes that we have a lot of trust and faith in them as a brand. The calipers grab onto a 180 millimeter rotor. And then coming over, here's a look at the front fender mount. This is a plastic fender and it does almost completely cover the tire, should help provide quite a bit of splash protection. These are both front and rear plastic fenders. And then working our way up here, here's a look at the hydraulic front fork. There is a preload knob on both the left and right side over here. You may need to adjust both of those to increase the tension on the front spring. Let me go ahead and throw you guys on a tripod and give a couple presses to that front fork. All right, here we go. Grab the front brakes and give it a couple pushes. Yeah, it's definitely a spring front fork. From the riding around I did on this bike already, it did feel quite a bit on the soft side. I am a 225-pound rider, and I could probably adjust these preload knobs a little bit to increase that tension, which I will go ahead and go about now. And then I will kind of talk about how the front fork felt after those adjustments and kind of how it feels while riding in our first-person riding footage. Coming back into the front end here, here's a look at the front headlight. This is listed as a 80 lux LED front headlight. It's a pretty bright front headlight, but like most front headlights, it doesn't have any flashing functionality or anything like that. So we always recommend a handlebar mounted light so you can have a flashing feature for better being seen visibility instead of the seeing visibility that this headlight is going to add. It does have a nice reflector there on the bottom as well. And then working up here is our first accessory, which is a purchasable aftermarket accessory from Blix. This is the front rack. Now, it does mount to these 3 bolt holes on the front, which is not a design that we've seen on really any other bikes. Just note too, if you don't get this front rack, it does have a nice plate that really covers up those holes so the bike looks pretty finished out of the box. This front rack, you could mount a basket to or use some straps to really hold on some other accessories, maybe some bags that you have. But there is another option where it is actually a front basket, which actually has a cup holder kind of mounted into it as well. That is $89, whereas this rack comes in at $79. Tucked here around the front rack, you'll see the wires and cables are wrapped almost fully all the way down into the down tube or wherever they need to split. One quick exception for that is this shifter cable here, which because of the angle that the front rack on here put that at, I was having some interesting issues shifting, so I just kind of unticked that out of the wrap here and routed it around. So if you're not running a front rack, just note that your wires will be completely wrapped very nicely. And then coming around to the cockpit, here's a look at our Zoom hydraulic disc brake lever, complete with motor cutoff down here. Here's a look at the locking ergonomic grip. You have a left-hand thumb throttle. Just a quick note too, this throttle does work whether you are in pedal assist 0 or all the way up to 5. And here's a look at the display. We'll get into that a little bit more in a few. Coming across, here's a quick look at the stem. This is a stem that is fairly short and doesn't have much rise to it. We would always recommend if you need to be in a higher position, they do make aftermarket adjustable stems, which are very easy to install. Coming over here to the right, we have an included bell. We have a micro shift 8-speed trigger shifter down here, which you operate with your thumb under the controls. These feel a little bit higher quality than the typical overhand Sys Index 7-speed shifters. And then we have a matching Zoom hydraulic disc brake lever and a matching locking ergonomic grip on the right. And then coming over, let's talk about the display. So this is a fairly basic appearing display, but it is packed with quite a bit of functionality. One functionality that it does have as well is going to be app connectivity. We'll go ahead and show you that towards the end of this after we've kind of gone through and walked through some of the features and functions of this display. So starting out, you can change what you're actually seeing on the display. Starting out, you can see miles per hour. And if you push the circle button on the right, it'll change what is displayed. So here's going to be our pedal assist level, which you operate and change by pushing up on the arrow keys at any time. It's 0 to 5. And like I said, throttle is available even in pedal assist mode 0. And the throttle is not tied to which pedal assist level you're in. So whether you're in pedal assist 0 or 5, you get full access to the throttle. Up to, out of the box, class 2 speeds of 20 miles per hour. But once you unlocked it, you will still get only throttle assistance up to 20, but then you'll be able to pedal to speeds of 28 miles an hour. We will be sure to talk about that in our first-person riding footage. On the right, let's go back to pushing the power button. Now you have SOC, which this is going to be your battery state of charge. It is displayed as a percentage. This is, from my understanding, an average of the battery percentage between the two batteries. Should also note, we are in pretty direct sunlight, and unless my shadow kind of goes over there, you can see this display pretty well. I do have the brightness turned all the way up. Next is going to be trip, so you have your mileage for your current trip. and then you're back to miles per hour of speed. Now, if you hold up on the display, that'll actually turn the headlights on and off, which shows up pretty nicely. As well as if you hold down on the button, it'll actually go into walk mode. Now, it's very nice that it actually has a little bit of a delay from activation to actually going. So just note, you do have to hold that down button to actually get it moving first. Now, from any of the places, whether you're mile per hour or trip, if you hold the up and down buttons on the left like you would typically do on a bike, that is how you would get into the advanced settings. However, on this display, it's slightly different. How you get into the advanced settings is not really advanced settings on the display, but you will simply press and hold the circle button on the right. First one you're going to see here, I don't know which order you're going to see them in, but the first one we're seeing here is version, so that's via firmware and things like that. Through the app, you can actually push firmware changes and things like that. I'll show you how to do that once we get into that. I believe this is another identifier. I'm not sure what these numbers exactly mean. I believe these are identifiers for the bike. Next, here's where going to be contrast or screen brightness. Like I said, I have this turned up to 100%. Here's where you can change the units of measure. It's currently listed as MI and F, so miles and Fahrenheit for units. For metric. Then we have the display, and that's which side it is actually located on. So you see now it's left side, you can flip it up to right side. We're going to leave it on the left side so we can read, and we're not having to force to read upside down. Here's backlight as well. So you can turn this up to 100%. I went ahead and turned contrast and backlight all the way up, and then you're back to that version screen. All right, so you may have noticed the scenery has changed here. In the middle of me trying to pair, I realized that I was having some issues and I wasn't sure what that was accustomed to or what the problem for it was. What I found out is that the operation of pairing and everything like that works a lot better if you are on Wi-Fi or if you have good cell signal. Over near my giant metal shop over there, I don't get good signal. So being here, I get a lot better signal and better Wi-Fi for that matter. So I recommend having your bike close to your house to be able to get it all paired up. All right, so here, first step is going to be make sure your bike is turned on. In order to turn the bike on though, one thing I did want to realize that I didn't call out before was that you do have to power the bike on. There are no keys or these 3 buttons on the display don't work to actually turn the bike on. What you actually have to do is press this button on the battery to turn it on. There is a power button on the rear battery, but neither of these 2 buttons click. The only real hint you have when pushing these buttons if the bike is turned on is this blue light illuminating this button. So I recommend you utilize the front battery to turn the bike on as you do get that blue light. This is the same way you'll turn the bike off. So actually what you'll do is you'll push the button, hold it for a sec, let go. The display will show you buy and the bike will actually turn off. And so does that blue light. So again, first step for pairing now, and just something I needed to call out is that you hold the power button, you just quickly press it, illuminates blue, B on the display shows up, and now we are powered on and we can pair our bike. So first step after your bike is turned on is going to be to make sure you have the Blix app actually downloaded. And then once you have the app started, it's a fairly simple process. I found one time while I was on Wi-Fi, you simply tap the tap to pair down here. I don't know if you have to enter an email address or anything like that the first time you turn the app on. I think you did, but once you have your account and everything set up, come in here, simply click tap to pair, or in the upper left-hand corner, you click the 3 lines, you go to vehicle, and since there's nothing listed, there's also the tap to pair vehicle there. We click that. This Blix here displayed, that is the bike that your phone is within Bluetooth range of. Now, unless you have multiple Blixes, this should not be a problem, but you select that Blix, and there you go to pair. It shows you a picture that you're pairing with an Ultra. Click continue, and it is connecting. And then it's gonna ask you to pair with your device via Bluetooth. I'm gonna go ahead and click pair. And one thing I did notice is that the display really doesn't change at any point whether you are paired or not, but the actual setting and options here do. I'm going to click this lock down in the bottom left-hand corner. That actually locks the bike. So you would be able to utilize this to lock your bike so that if you were running into a store or something like that, nobody could just take off with it. Simply press the unlock there to unlock it and you get the speed and everything shows again. You also have lights here, so you can simply turn the lights on and off. Again, the display does interact with this here, but when you have the headlight here turned on, and we're going to push the button on the app there, turn it off. You also have a speed here, and you can switch whether you're seeing speed or state of charge. And then you can change your mode down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Fast mode 2. This is actually as you were cycling the pedal assist levels, and it goes back to 0. You can click the play button here, and it will record your ride. And then when you go to stop your ride, you click the X again. These are all of the settings, like the length of your trip and everything like that. You will notice this is in kilometers an hour. It does default to that. Simply click in the upper left-hand corner, go to settings, and here you can change your distance and how everything is read. Also, on these 3 lines up here on the left, you can click support. You could automatically contact support to send a message. On your actual vehicle here, You could restore everything to default, but this is the thing everybody wants to see. You can change the mode. So it comes shipped as a Class 2 e-bike, which is throttle and pedal assist limited to 20 miles an hour, but you can switch it to Class 3 mode, where pedal assist is limited to 28 miles an hour, but throttle is still limited to 20. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up to Class 3 mode and save that. And then now I'm gonna go back to vehicle here, and I believe if I click the picture here, this is actually listing out that I need to update my firmware. I'm gonna go ahead and do that at another time when we are not actively recording, but I'll update the firmware before I ride. Just kind of a nice way that they will be able to update everything and keep you up to date. Over here, if you click the upper 3-hand lines, you go to dashboard. And here's where you can get some more specs, time you've ridden and other things like that. Typical things we see on a display. And then you can also go to map, and this is gonna show you the map location of where you are. You can also go to activity feed, which has some information as far as if you have other friends, kind of gamifies some of the riding to make it really just to try and motivate you to get out and ride your bike more. You can also connect with all these socials down there at the bottom. So overall, it's a fairly robust app, and unfortunately you will need it to at least turn your bike up to Class 3 mode. If you do want to use the app because you want to have a few more data points in front of you, we recommend a phone mount. Our phone mount that we recommend is, of course, the one from Bikecase that we sell on shop.ebikeescape.com. We have yet to lose a phone with that, and if we do lose a phone while riding, it is going to be recorded on video, and we're going to show you, and you're going to see my phone fall to its demise, but we have not had that problem yet. I'm going to go ahead and push us back out into the sunlight, and let's talk about some of the other components of this bike. All right, here we are back over in the sunlight. Let's go ahead and work our way down from the cockpit. Here's a look at that, closer look at that top tube. It kind of does have this drop so that you get a little bit more standover height here if you are at that 5'6" range. I'm a 5'8" rider with a 29-inch inseam. I found this bar here to be a little bit high for me to be 100% comfortable, but when you're actually pedaling and riding the bike, there are no problems. So this is a dual battery bike. One is mounted on the rear of the seat tube, and the other one is integrated nicely into this lower down tube. I will show you to take those out here towards the end of this walk around, but here's a look at the key spot as well as the Blix branding here. There's some minimal branding overall on this bike. There's a little bit on this rear battery as well. Here's a look at some of the bottle cage bosses, which are pre-installed. There's nice that there are quite a few options here. You can really mount some locks or water bottle cages pretty much anywhere on this bike. Here's a look at the metal Well-Go pedals. These are fairly standard metal pedals we see come on a lot of e-bikes. If you want some recommendations for maybe something with a little bit of color, check our e-bike accessories list. There's tucked nicely behind the pedals here. You'll notice your Class 2/3 sticker. Nice to see that that is up to date and actually matches the information of what this bike is capable of. Located down here underneath, if this grass gets out of our way, you can see this is the controller here, I believe. And then all of this here is a nice pack of wires where everything kind of gets routed up into the down tube and then kind of goes back to the motor and stuff. Moving our way back, you'll notice that the kickstand is nicely tucked out of the way of the pedal, so you don't have to worry about getting any pedal hang up while moving the bike around. Tucked here behind these footwell protectors or guards, we have the plastic rear fender for the rear. It's a pretty full coverage rear fender, goes all the way down to the back of the tire. Here's a look at the Zoom rear hydraulic disc brake and matching 180mm rear rotor. And then working our way up, we have to talk about this wheel guard. This is a pretty nice guard. It attaches to the rear rack, which also does not come pre-installed. So the rear rack and these guards come together as a package deal from Blix. That is another one of those customizable or choosable accessories when you purchase your bike. The rear rack and guards come in at $175 together. The rear basket is another optional purchasable accessory. If you're, say, hauling cargo, the basket's a great option. The basket comes in at $129. And then there are a couple other options. There's a passenger seat, which you can get, which comes in at $79. There's rear cushions. So if you get the mini VIP section, which comes in at $149, you could mount some smaller cushions if you, say, have some smaller kids. These small cushions come in at $39. The thicker, more padded rear seat comes in at $79. And then while we're also talking about the rear rack and accessories, you'll notice down here there are these pretty thick brackets with square tubing on each side. Those are for the optional rear passenger pegs. Those come in at simply $25. Now, it can be a bit daunting that all of these items are individually purchasable and you may forget something, but it is nice to see because not everyone will need all of those items, as well as everybody's use case for this e-bike could be slightly different. So it's nice that you can kind of customize it and get it to fit your needs. And it's nice that Blix offers accessories that you know are going to bolt on and fit first try. I already kind of talked about this rear fender here, you can kind of see where it goes all the way down. One thing about the fender and really the rear rack, it needs to be said, is this taillight. So the Blix Ultra does not come with a taillight straight out of the box. It comes with just this rear reflector here. But note that the bike does come with the option built into the wiring down there, as well as the rear fender came with all of the spots to run this wire along the fender. They actually just look like these little silver rivets, you see there, which run all the way up and over the fender. And then you can see the wiring actually comes out right down here. And I was able to tuck it nicely in the frame. We did have to cut some zip ties and find the plug, which was tucked up here under the down tube. And I was able to just kind of pull out until I saw another red Juliet connector and simply plug that extension wire that comes included in. And now I have a rear taillight. This is not a rear brake light. It just kind of is illuminated or not. I would have loved to see that come as an actual actuating rear brake light, but the fact that it lights up at all is nice. And it comes pre-installed and included when you purchase the rear rack. And two other quick things about this rear rack before we move on. Hidden under here, you will note that there is one Thule up window, so you can mount a Thule up maxi seat on here. Like I said, that is our favorite child carrying seat. The other thing we should talk about this rear rack is, like I had said at the beginning of this video, is that the rear cargo capacity for this rear rack is 150 pounds. That's quite a lot of cargo, or quite a lot of children/passenger for this e-bike to be able to carry. Coming in here, here's a look at the motor that's tucked in there nicely. I do not see any branding on the motor, but I do know that it is listed as a 750 watt motor that is also capable of peaking close to 1350 watts. And they also claim that this motor is capable of 90 newton meters of torque. I can't wait to put that to the test in our hill climb test. Mounted in front of that, we have a rear cassette. This cassette is an 8-speed cassette. It is an 11 tooth on the smallest ring and goes up to a 32 tooth on that biggest ring. That 11 tooth is going to allow you to provide quite a bit of your own power when you get into some of those higher speeds. Here's a look at the Microshift 26 rear derailleur. This is a derailleur we're starting to see more and more on a lot of e-bikes. Microshift components are pretty nice. They tend to be a little bit more budget oriented, but come highly spec'd with features. It does have some nice high and low adjustments here on the back, as well as a barrel adjuster. We've had no real issues out of our Microshift components. As a matter of fact, I run them on my mountain bike and I have very few complaints about it. Working our way up the chain here you'll notice the front metal chainring. This is a double wall front chainring. We'll put the tooth count for the front here on the screen now, as well as we have a matching Welgo pedal. Then working our way up to the seat. Here is the seat. It's a pretty cushy and soft seat. It does have the integrated handle that we've come to really like on a lot of our bikes, especially when we're trying to move them around or pick them up. Having that rear handle is very nice. And there is quite a bit of adjustment in the seat for height up and down, so you really could get some fairly tall riders on this bike. I know I'm gonna have to drop that down before I can ride it. That wraps up most of the components. Let me go ahead and throw you guys on a tripod and tell you the specs and everything about these batteries. All right, let's go ahead and pull the batteries out for you. Starting out, we do have two sets of keys. One of the keys is this internal groove, whereas the other one is the external groove. The internal groove is for the front battery and the external groove is for the rear battery. The keys are not needed to power the bike on and off. They are only needed to pull the batteries in and out. Let's go ahead and start with the front battery here. Both key spots are on the driver's side of the e-bike. You simply put the key in and twist it towards the back of the bike, and that's going to free this front battery up to hang down. And then to fully release it, you're actually just going to push this lever to the side, and that is going to allow the battery to drop down and out. Now, sometimes we have to battle to get the battery in and out, especially when you have fat tires and fenders. But with this one, quick note, we did not have to. There's plenty of room here to get the battery out. Here's a look at the charging port on the side of the battery. The batteries can be charged on or off the bike. The Blix Ultra does come with one charger. It is a 2 amp charger, so just keep that in mind when you're going to be charging both batteries. On the left side here, you'll see the power button. Here's a look at that little lever, which moves the lock knob on the top. And here's a look at the specs of the battery. It's listed as a 47.2 volt DC, 13.6 amp hour, which comes out to 641.9 watt hours. And I believe that is the same specs for the front and rear battery. They both are 13.6 amp hour batteries. To put this front battery back in, you simply put the bottom in first, start at the bottom, line that up, and then you just give it a little push and the battery will snap right in. I always recommend make sure you pull out the keys, and then I always recommend giving that button a little push, see if the battery falls out. You really don't want that battery to fall out on you. All right, let's go ahead and pull this rear one out. The rear one is a little bit more challenging, but there's a little bit of a trick to it. Same thing, take the other set of keys, put them in on the driver's side of the bike here. You twist the keys towards the front of the bike as well, all the way around, and that frees it up, and then you simply slide the battery up. And then once you have it out, sometimes you can lift the seat up to give you more room. What I found is if you pick it up just enough, you can actually walk it out with the keys in, out the passenger side between the rear fender and the seat tube here. Bring it around here. So here's a look at this. This is listed as, again, a 47.2, 13.6 amp hour battery. So both batteries combined will give you 27.2 amp hours of battery. Blix estimate that to give you somewhere in the 80-mile range. This does have a cadence sensor, so you may have to ride in lower pedal assist levels to get you that range, but you got quite a bit of battery there. That shouldn't be too difficult to reach that number. On the side of the battery here, you'll notice we have this 4-color LED. On the front battery, I forgot to show it, it was a single button push LED that changes color to relate to the state of the battery, whereas this one has the pretty traditional for us 4 LEDs or number of LEDs tell you battery percentage. Here's where the keys go in, and on the side here, you notice again, the power button here, which again does not click, it's just simply a push. I found it to be a little bit finicky for knowing whether you turn the bike on. And then right below it, you have the charging port. And that, again, same charger for the front and rear. Both batteries can be charged on or off the bike. And there is only the one single charger. Let's go ahead and slide this battery back in, which is kind of the opposite of the removal. Simply get the top key in first. You can also remove the keys and make sliding in and out a lot easier. Simply slide the battery all the way down. And now, unlike the front battery, you will need to twist the keys all the way towards the back of the bike to lock it in. Make sure you give it a quick pull up to see if the battery comes out there. So make sure you have it all the way in before you go out and ride. And speaking of riding, let's go ahead and hop on the Blix Ultra, see how it does in our neighborhood test where we'll walk through all the various pedal assist levels. Then we're gonna put that rear motor to the test and see how it carries me, a 225-pound rider, up our hill climb test. All right, here we are at the first-person riding footage of the Blix Ultra. One quick thing I want to note is that if you are going to be frequently riding this bike and you do want it in Class 3 mode, I know I showed in the walk around how to override or set this bike into Class 3 mode by using the app. The app is unfortunately the only way to do that, but every time you power the bike on and off, you are going to have to go back in here and turn this back up to a Class 3 mode bike if that's what you would like, as it does default back to a Class 2 mode every time you turn the bike on and off. So just something to be aware of, as it caught me a little off guard when I was pedaling and couldn't get past that 20-mile-an-hour mark. All right, so the way this is going to work, I'm going to start at pedal assist level 1 and gear 1 and just kind of talk through what the top speeds are as I'm pedaling, as well as just kind of tell you how the bike feels to ride. So let's go ahead and give myself a little bit of throttle here to get off the line. And I need to downshift over here on the right, all the way down to gear 1, and I am in pedal assist level 1. All right, hopefully you'll be able to see my GPS. Although I did find that I was riding, and this speed that it displays over here is very close to what the GPS does. Better than some other bikes we've seen. All right, here we go. Pedal assist level 1, I'm in gear 1. It looks like 7-8 miles an hour while providing a pretty easy cadence. I would probably shift up to 2 here. And yeah, this is a pretty comfortable cadence. Yeah, it looks like we're going about 9 miles an hour here. Yeah, pretty comfortable, easy going bike, takes off from the line pretty easy. Pedal assist level 1, it's a nice easy gear. Go to pedal assist level 2, didn't really feel any extra power come on there. And still at that 8-mile-an-hour mark, I didn't feel any extra oomph like you sometimes get when you upshift. There we go. Okay, maybe a little bit. I would upshift here to 3. There we go, 11. Yeah, 11, 12. GPS is a little laggy today. Yeah, there we go, 12. I'll shift up. Okay. I think we're into 5 or 6 on the shifter over here. That's a pretty comfortable cadence. Go to pedal assist level 3. It almost feels like maybe once you upshift, it takes a minute for the power to come in. Like it's just a smooth addition of power so that it doesn't startle you, which is a pretty nice tuning and not something we've seen from some other, not something we've seen before. There we go. Yeah, 19, 20 miles an hour. We got there fairly quickly. I would go ahead and shift up to 7. And now, oh no, now we're in 7 on the shifter and still in pedal assist level 3. But there we go. Now we're all the way up in 8 and I am at 23 miles an hour, providing a little bit of effort for my legs. Not a lot, but man, it's just cruising here. All right, let's go ahead and shift up pedal assist level 4. Okay, I definitely felt the bike give me a little bit more power there because my cadence stayed the same. And yeah, we're up to 24, 25 miles an hour. A little bit of a curve here. Not gonna pedal over in the curve. All right, there we go. One thing that is very apparent and should be called out with this bike is that I know it has Ultra in the name, but it is ultra long. I'd almost think of it as like a long tail bike. It feels very long and stable, and that benefit of that is you have a lot of room for cargo in the front or also, of course, in the rear. And you have those big tires. It just feels like a big stable bike, and definitely apparent, especially when you have fat tires. So, all right, here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and shift up to pedal assist level 5 here. And remember, we were in 8 on the shifter, and I'm just gonna give it a good amount of effort here from my legs, and we should be able to 27, 28 pretty easily, get up to that 28 miles an hour. And yeah, I definitely just felt the bike cut giving me power. So this bike has a pretty hard cut at that 28 mile an hour top speed there, but just a little bit of cadence here, and this bike is capable of just kind of holding you right there. Just a little bit of effort. I almost feel like I can go down to maybe 7th here on the shifter. A little bit less effort from my legs, and the bike still seems like it's putting out enough power to hold me out there. Here we go. Yeah, here we go, 25. Yeah, so just overall, it's a nice cruising e-bike. All right, one thing I do want to do is I would like to just operate on throttle alone. So now if you're at 28 miles an hour or above 20 miles an hour and you hit the throttle, it doesn't cut power, but it definitely stops giving you power, obviously, when you stop pedaling. And you can continue to hold the throttle, and the speed is just gonna continue to drop here. Giving myself a little bit of brake here to slow us down. And then once we get below 20 miles an hour, it is now providing power to just keep me right at 20 miles an hour. So the throttle does not operate past 20 miles an hour, but it will keep you from falling below that speed. So if you were, say, starting off from a light, whether you're in pedal assist level 1 or 5, you could use that little bit of throttle to get you going right off the line. All right, yeah, so overall, it's a fairly nice e-bike to ride. It seems pretty comfortable. And long and stable are the two other words that I really think about with this bike. So here we are, a little bit of an off-road path that connects the two roads here. And yeah, it's a pretty, like I said, stable feeling bike, and definitely tell that length. You definitely feel the length of this bike. We get the question quite frequently, what happens if you run out of battery? Well, the benefit of riding an e-bike is you still have an e-bike. So you can simply find a cadence and a gear that matches whatever terrain you are on, and you should be able to provide your own power to get going. Now, of course, keep in mind, hills are not going to be your friend, especially when you're on a fat tire bike, dual battery bike, or everything this bike sports, which is both of those. So it's definitely gonna take some effort to keep yourself moving, but it is doable. Not something we would want to do. And hopefully, since you have 2 batteries, you will be able to not have that happen to you. So yeah, but overall, it's a nice riding e-bike even without power. Looks like, I don't know, I mean, in 3, about 10, 11 miles an hour here on flat ground. So it doesn't take too much effort to keep it going. But again, elevation is going to be your enemy when you don't have battery power. All right, with that done, let's go ahead and throw it to the hill climb test. All right, here we are at the bottom of our hill climb test. The way this test is going to work, I'm going to go up the hill first on throttle power alone, then I'm going to come back down the hill, give the brakes a good test, let you know how they felt, and then I'm going to go back up the hill while pedaling. All of this riding is going to be done in class 3 mode. Like I said, remember, defaults out of that, so remember to turn that on. Like I said before, ask me how I know. So, all right, here we are. Gonna give myself a little bit of throttle to get going. And like I had said also, this bike is a hard holder to the class 2, class 3 regulations, so it is gonna stop providing me any throttle once we hit that 20 mile per hour mark. There you go, feel it. Just kind of cut power there. A little bit of the downhill, so the speed is gonna go up a little bit from gravity, but there we go. All right, here's where the hill really starts, as that's the low point back there for the creek. We'll put the specs for the hill on the screen now. It is about a 7.2% grade hill. So it's not the steepest hill we have in our area, but it is still a hill nonetheless, and hopefully be able to compare it to hills in your area to give you an idea of what the bike will be capable of if this is the one that you decide on. So yeah, this bike, I expect it to make it up the hill pretty easily, as it does have a pretty powerful feeling rear motor that I could tell from that riding portion was able to get me up to 20, 28 miles an hour, somewhere in there pretty easily. There we go. Okay, definitely felt the power kick down a little bit. This is where the steepest part of the hill really starts. Again, I am a 225-pound rider, so let's see if it's capable of getting me up the hill. The batteries were probably at about 85% charged, not fully charged, as I was doing some riding before with the bike. But let's see if it's capable of making up with that amount of charge in them. So here we go. I feel the speed slowing down. What are we at? About 8, 9 miles an hour. The speed on the GPS and the display are fairly close. Here we go, 7. At this, I mean, well before here, I probably would have been providing my own amount of power here to keep me going up the hill. But yeah, okay, it looks like 6 is 6.5. Yeah, there. Okay, that's going to be our minimum speed there, about 5 or 6. Yeah, it's not the slowest we've ever had. Definitely not the fastest, but not the slowest. And again, it is a bike. So when it starts getting down to that speed, I personally would start pedaling, or even well before then to help me get up that hill. But worst case scenario for this e-bike, it was capable of making it up the hill under throttle power alone. So let's go ahead and loop it around and give the brakes test, and we'll come back up while pedaling. All right, here we are back down at the bottom of the hill climb test. On my way down, I didn't hit the top speed shown here at 36. I got to about 33, 34 miles an hour. These Zoom hydraulic disc brakes, no problem slowing me down. Good amount of 2-finger effort here put in, and the bike slowed right down to really close to 0 with minimal effort. So, all right, now we're gonna go back up while pedaling. I'm gonna start in gear 1 on the shifter and pedal assist level 1 over here. Give myself a little bit of throttle here to start out. And let's see if we can make it up while pedaling. There we go. All right, I started a little bit further up so that I was closer to the creek there, because that's the low point. And I am ghost pedaling at this point, so I would probably shift up the hill. That's kind of started about now. It's a little gradual part of the hill, and then it tapers off a little bit, and then it gets to the really steep part. So, all right, here we are. I'm providing a little too much effort here to be for my liking. Pedal level 2, didn't feel that power come in anymore. Go ahead and kick it up to pedal level 3. Okay, maybe a little bit more power there, but I'm still putting in a good amount of effort. I'm only in gear 2 on the shifter over here. All right, see where we go. Okay, 8, 9, let's say the hill tapers out a little bit, and then it really kicks up again a little bit further up. So, man, I still feel like I'm providing a decent amount of effort, even in pedal assist level 3. Go ahead and kick it up to 4. Felt a little bit more power come on there. It was a small gradual amount of power. Let's see here. We go shift up to 3, 4. Okay, like I said, the hill tapers off, and bike's clearly capable on flat ground or moderately flat ground, but here's where the hill really is going to start again. See how it goes. If you hear that little bit of clock, clock and stuff like the rattling on video, that is the rear fender hitting the rear wheel. It takes a little bit of dialing in on that rear fender, and it's missing a bracket. So, all right, here we are. Yeah, I am pedal assist level 5. I felt the power kick come on a little bit more, but even then, I mean, still, the bike kind of fell down there on power. I'm curious here. Let's see. Okay, that's an interesting behavior, and I was wondering if it was going to do that because I know the bike was more powerful. Even in pedal assist level 5, it doesn't give you full amount of power. You still have a little bit extra there that you can give on the throttle. And so if you see, I'm providing the same amount of effort I was a little bit further down, but pedaling and holding the throttle, I'm going about 8 to 9 miles an hour. So even in pedal assist level 5, you don't have the full amount of power. You still have to use the throttle to get that full amount there. And again, remember, that's going to stop at that 20 mile an hour point. All right, so the bike is capable of making up hills, albeit a little bit differently than some other e-bikes we've ridden. Not necessarily a bad thing, just something you should be aware of. All right, so with all of that riding footage and hill climb out of the way, let's go and throw it to some third-person riding footage, where I will give you my concluding thoughts on the Blix Ultra.
Blix is no stranger to our channel, nor to our roads. From the Blix Packagini to the recently reviewed Double, and now the Blix Ultra, we continue to review and like what Blix is doing with their e-bikes. One similarity between all the models we review is that they tend to lean more towards cargo/kid carrying capabilities, but Blix does offer some cruiser style e-bikes and even a small 55-pound folding e-bike that's small enough to travel with. Let us know if you would like to see us review that or any of the other Blix models. The Blix Ultra is a long, fat tire e-bike. For comparison, the Event Adventure 2 has a wheelbase of about 45 inches, and the Ultra comes in close to 51 inches. The Ultra comes with the option of you picking between a single or dual battery option. The single battery at time of filming was on sale for $18.49, with the dual battery coming in at $22.49. Be sure to check out the links down below for the most up-to-date pricing and to help support the channel. The single battery option is great to have. However, in order to help squash some of that range anxiety, we always recommend the dual battery option if it's in the budget. Along with that extra battery, you also get the choice of a few different colors. The single battery is only available in white, and you get access to 28 amp hours of combined battery capacity, which Blix claims will give you a range of up to 80 miles. And given my past experience, that's a fairly conservative estimate testament for the max range. Propelling you along for those 80 miles, you'll get to enjoy a 750 watt nominal, 1350 watt peak motor, and an 8-speed microshift drivetrain. The 11 to 32 cassette was really nice to see, and thanks to that 11-tooth rear gear, you're more than capable of adding some of your own power all the way up to that 28 mile per hour top speed. Both the motor and drivetrain performed great in our testing. I was a bit surprised by not getting full access to the power even when in pedal assist level 5, but was quickly able to adjust to having that little extra power on tap via the throttle. The Ultra comes with Zoom hydraulic disc brakes and a very basic appearing display. The display, thanks to its Bluetooth capability, gives you access to the Blix app, which gives you access to a boatload more functionality. You can customize what values are displayed on your cell phone, from individual battery charges to total trip distances, connect with other riders via some gamification, troubleshoot your e-bike, and even set up and schedule interactions with Blix's customer/technical support. Also within the app, this is where you get to unlock the Ultra, giving you the power to pedal up to that 28 mile per hour top speed. You will need to access the app every time you ride to set your Ultra to Class 3 mode. I'm on the fence about this app connectivity, as I wish sometimes that I could just hop on and ride, but there's definitely a benefit to giving Blix the ability to Bluetooth into your e-bike to help you troubleshoot if needed. Blix Ultra is only available in a single frame option, meaning no step-throughs available. Blix's website also now states the height range of 5'2" to 6'2". I found the fit for me, a 5'7" rider with a 29-inch inseam, to feel just a tad large. So if you are a bit shorter than me, the Ultra will feel like a big bike. The Ultra also feels and is longer when compared to those other fat tire e-bikes. This is great for stability, whether you're riding on or off-road, but something that should be considered when you're thinking about storage or transport. One thing we've noticed over the course of our reviews about Blix e-bikes is that their designs tend to be modular. This means that the Ultra arrives to you as really a blank canvas with nothing more than fenders. And thanks to the hefty frame design, it's capable of a 400-pound payload capacity, with 150 pounds of that being able to be carried on the optional rear rack. The rear rack is just one of the many accessories Blix offers, allowing you, the rider, to outfit your e-bike with whatever purpose you have in mind. Kid hauling? Check out the mini VIP section and seat pads. Cargo hauling? Check out the large basket, front rack, and pannier bags. Or feel free to check out our store, link down in the description, for some other high-quality products. Also in the description, we'll have a link to Blix's other e-bikes, and if you do decide to purchase one, doing so after clicking a link is a free and easy way to show us support here at E-Bike Escape. Thank you all in advance. So if you are in the market for a dual battery off-road capable hauler, the Blix Ultra is definitely worth considering. What do you think of the Ultra? Would you purchase one? Is there a better use case for the Ultra's modular design than what we mentioned? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks everyone for watching, and until next time, ride safe.